Every trial starts with the selection of the jury. The court clerk will ask the defendant if he or she is ready for trial. The clerk will then begin to take out cards at random from a box and call out only the number on each card. Please note that only your number will be called, and your name, address and occupation will remain confidential during the entire proceedings. It is a criminal offence for anyone involved in the court proceedings to disclose this information without lawful authority. If your number is called, you should make yourself known to the court security staff and make your way to the jury box at the front of the court. When several people are in the jury box, the court clerk will call out each number again. As each juror number is called out, either the prosecution or the defence may call out challenge. This is what is known as challenging for cause. It is not very common, but do not be alarmed if it does happen to you. The legal representative who is seeking to challenge the juror will have to provide a good reason why you can't serve as a juror in this case, and it will be up to the judge to decide whether or not you can become a sworn juror. Very occasionally, when your number is called, you may be required to stand by. This means that you will not be required to sit on this jury unless the jury list becomes exhausted, when standbys will be recalled and you may then be sworn as a juror. If no challenge or standby are called out, then you will be invited to take the juror's oath. You can take the oath either by swearing or by affirming.
Repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
If you prefer to swear, please hold the testament in your right hand and repeat the words of the oath after the court clerk.
According to the evidence.
According to the evidence.
If you prefer to affirm, you do so without holding the testament.
Can I affirm, please?
Your Honour, the lady wishes to affirm.
Yes. Repeat after me. I do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm
I do solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm
that I will faithfully try the defendant
that I will faithfully try the defendant
and give a true verdict
and give a true verdict
according to the evidence.
according to the evidence.
Affirmed.
The first person selected as a juror acts as the foreperson. He or she also acts as chairperson in the jury room and delivers the verdict to the court. 12 people are selected to form the jury for the duration of the case. Most trials are over the same day, but some trials can last much longer. Your lunch will be provided by the court office.
Would all unsworn jurors return to the assembly room, please?
If you are not selected today, the judge will advise you when you need to come back to court for possible selection to another jury. The judge will usually check that none of the sworn jurors know the defendant or have any connection with the case.
12 sworn, Your Honour.
Thank you.
Now, members of the jury, you have been sworn to try the case of John Savage, who is the defendant in this case. He lives at Grantia Street in Belfast, and he is charged with the offence of causing grievous bodily harm. If any of you know the defendant or any of the witnesses in this case, and they are Peter Kelly and Matthew Smith, it is important that you tell the court now. If not, we'll proceed with the case. Thank you very much.
The 2 jury keepers who are sworn to look after the jury are court security staff. Their job is to make sure no one contacts the jury, and they serve as your means of communicating with others. After the jury is selected, the judge will invite you to retire to the jury room so that other court business can be dealt with. This will give you the opportunity to meet your fellow jurors. If you're carrying a mobile phone, you will be asked to hand it to the jury keepers when you go into the jury room. If there's anything you need, such as phoning relatives or employers, please ask the jury keepers.
The court service is committed to ensuring the safety of all court users and to eliminating the causes and potential causes of intimidation on court premises. In some cases, you may be asked to sit out of sight of the public gallery, or other security measures may be employed in or outside of the courtroom. These measures are specifically designed to afford each juror protection from the risk of intimidation, allowing you to effectively carry out your jury service. Jurors should note that it is extremely rare for such security measures to be employed. However, jurors should not be alarmed if their case is one with increased security arrangements. If you need help, please tell the jury keepers immediately. If an attempt is made to intimidate you outside court premises, you should make this known to a member of court staff as soon as possible.
Now, members of the jury.
When you come back into court again, the trial will begin. The cases that might be tried include murder, fraud, rape, theft, assault or other types of crime. Now we'll introduce you to the other people involved in the trial.
Thank you, Mr. Sloan. Mr. O'Reilly.
A county court judge wears black and purple robes with a red sash and is called Your Honour. The defendant or defendants sit in the dock accompanied by prison officers. They remain silent unless they choose to give evidence. The court clerk sits in front of the judge and coordinates the trial. The court clerk reads the charges against the defendant, swears in the jury, takes the verdict, and performs administrative tasks associated with the trial. All trials are recorded in some way. Sometimes a stenographer or shorthand writer sits beside the court clerk and records everything that is said in court. This record may be used if the case is appealed. Also known as counsel, barristers wear black robes and wigs. Counsel for the prosecution presents the case evidence to the court. Counsel for the defence challenges the prosecution's evidence and presents the case for the defendant. Solicitors sit close to counsel. They will have instructed and briefed counsel before the case has come to court. They consult with counsel throughout the trial. There are many types of witnesses that can be called during a case. Witnesses include forensic scientists, police officers, medical experts, eyewitnesses and others. Some evidence is very detailed and specialised. Please listen carefully to all the evidence and pay attention to any exhibits, as this will be the basis on which you must decide your verdict. Some courts use technology to present evidence on screens using computers and video equipment. Some solicitors and barristers also use computers in court to assist them in presenting their case.
The case will follow a set pattern. The prosecution counsel begins by outlining details of the case. Next, each witness is called, sworn and questioned. This is called evidence in chief.
Constable Kelly, what did you do when the defendant began struggling?
Your Honour, I had to restrain him and my colleague assisted me in escorting him to the custody suite.
And did you remain in the custody suite?
No, Your Honour. At this point I left the custody suite and had no more dealings with the defendant.
Thank you, Constable.
When prosecution counsel have finished, the defence counsel will question the witness to discover any weaknesses or contradictions in their evidence. This is called cross-examination.
The defendant will say that he didn't use abusive language and in fact it was you and your colleague that were being heavy-handed that night.
Your Honour, that is not true.
When all the prosecution witnesses have given their evidence and have been cross-examined, the defence counsel will present its case. This time it is the defence counsel that calls witnesses, including the defendant, and it is the prosecution counsel that conducts the cross-examination.
Your Honour, talking to some people at the bar, when I heard a commotion behind me, looked around, saw 3 or 4 boys standing over somebody.
Was John Savage one of the boys?
No, Your Honour.
Did you see John Savage in the area?
Yes, Your Honour. I remember spoken to me about 10 minutes before. He told me going outside to get some air.
Mr. Smith, when you spoke with John, did he seem upset or angry?
No, Your Honour. He was enjoying the night like the rest of us.
That's all my questions, Your Honour.
Thank you, Mr. O'Reilly. Mr. Sloan, do the prosecution have any questions?
Mr. Smith, is it not the fact that you're here today to try and cover up for John Savage?
No, Your Honour, I don't tell lies.
Do you know anything about earlier in the evening when an eyewitness saw the defendant and Norman McConnell arguing in the entrance hall?
I don't know, Your Honour.
I have nothing further, Your Honour.
To help remind you when you are considering a verdict, you might find it useful to take notes during the case. Paper and pens are provided in the jury box. If you need more, don't hesitate to ask a jury keeper.
Your Honour, the jury requires some blank writing paper.
That's fine, thank you.
If you require clarification on any point, you can raise it with a court official or the judge.
Ladies and gentlemen,
When all the evidence has been given, first the prosecution and then the defence counsel will make their closing speeches. They will speak directly to you in the jury box and they will attempt to convince you of their respective cases.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've now heard all the evidence in a case which was in fact an extremely callous and brutal and unprovoked attack on a 21-year-old man. Not only did the defendant leave him unconscious, but after leaving him lying in a pool of blood, he returned to the victim and further kicked him once in the head. The defence have alleged this is a case of mistaken identity.
The judge will then sum up the case, stressing the points of law. Please listen carefully to what the judge says. He or she has many years of legal experience and a thorough knowledge of the issues involved. The judge will give you directions about your duties before you retire to reach your verdict. If you encounter any difficulties during your deliberations, please contact the judge for guidance. This should be done through your jury keeper.
It is desirable for all jurors to reach a unanimous verdict. If you fail to reach a unanimous decision, the judge will explain the appropriate procedure for reaching a majority verdict. Before the jury leaves the jury box, the foreperson will be given the issue paper. This sets out the charges against the defendant with a space beside each charge to write the jury's verdict. In the jury room, you will discuss the evidence and arrive at a verdict. Remember that it is an offence for anyone to disclose information about jury room discussions or to divulge any individual juror's opinions.
Did he set out to get him then on that night? Did it actually happen?
When you come back to the courtroom, the court clerk will ask the foreperson to deliver the verdict on each charge. When this has been done, your task is over, but please stay in the jury box until the judge tells you to leave. The judge may also give you a date to return to court for further jury service. If this has been a long or difficult trial, the judge may excuse you from further service.